What's up, millennials? A few days ago I received a comment if I could maybe do a video about my top 5 SPACs right now. Well, I can. And I think it's a pretty good moment to talk a little bit about the top 5 SPACs, because I think that we might have already seen the top of this SPAC market. Personally, I've also changed my strategy a little bit with regards to SPACs, because right now I'm trying to find the SPACs that have a proven track record and the SPACs that I have most confidence in. Now keep in mind that most of these SPACs are actually long-term plays, so that doesn't mean that you buy a SPAC today and you are going to get 100% return on your investment tomorrow. This is more for long-term investors who don't mind waiting a few years instead of just a few days or a few weeks. Because the problem is a lot of people just want gains right now, they want gains within a few days, they don't really have the patience to wait for years and years for the company to play out. So what I'm going to do in this video is talk to you about my top 5 SPACs right now, or at least the 5 SPACs that I have most confidence in the long term. The first SPAC is STPK, and this SPAC is going to merge with STEM. As we can see, it is a leader in AI-driven energy storage solutions, and personally I really like leaders in certain niches. One of the things they are focusing on a lot is decentralized energy, and right now we have usually a system where we have a centralized amount of energy. What they are focusing on a lot is decentralized energy, because right now we are mostly living in a situation where the energy distribution is actually centralized. We have one point where the energy is generated and then it's transmitted through these substations towards the end customers. With decentralized energy or distributed energy, we have several places where the energy can be generated and then can be brought to the end consumers. So this is a way more dynamic and way more flexible way of energy storage and energy generation. STEM can play different roles within this process. First of all, they have the hardware for the energy storage, but they can also provide the software for battery optimization using Athena, which is their AI solution. And Athena, the AI software platform, can be used to control networks in real time. It can be used to gather data to improve the systems, but also to create forecasts when energy is needed or not, so that the network can be optimized for that. Now, STEM does not really have that proven track record that I'm usually looking for with regards to SPACs, but at least they have some revenue. They right now expect to have $147 million in revenue in 2021, and they want to scale that up to about $1.1 billion in 2026, which can give you a 81% compound annual growth rate. If we look at the valuation of STEM, we can see that I did a video about this a while ago, and the midpoint valuation was about $29 per share, and currently is very close to that level. Is right now sitting at $28.44. By the way, if you want access to this Excel sheet that I have put together for you, then you can join our Discord for free by going to nesami.com/discord. Then you can leave your name, leave your email address, then you're going to get access to this Excel sheet, but also the valuation sheets that I have been using so far. The second SPAC is BFT merging with Paysafe. Yesterday they actually approved the merger, so the ticker is probably going to change on Monday or Tuesday, but Paysafe is a digital payment provider. They are focusing on gaming, so that is really their niche, like betting, poker, games like Fortnite, and if you know Neteller and Skrill, well, these are their brands. Gaming is definitely expected to be a booming business in the next coming years, from a $3.4 billion market in 2019 to a $24 billion market in 2025, or even up to $47 billion, and that would give you a nice compound annual growth rate of 52%. Yesterday, apart from the merger vote, they also announced that they are going to expand their crypto offering, and they do so with a partnership with Coinbase, so Paysafe is also a little crypto play. If we look at their revenue, we can see that this company definitely has that proven track record I've been talking about. They had $1.4 billion in revenue last year, and they expect to grow at a compound annual growth rate of 11% in the next coming years. If we look at the midpoint valuation according to my calculations from my video about BFT, we can see that the midpoint valuation is around $21, and that would mean that with a price of $15 right now, BFT or Paysafe could actually be undervalued at this very moment. SPAC number 3 is FRX merging with the BeachBody, and the BeachBody has a very simple mission, which is to help people achieve their goals and enjoy a healthy, fulfilling life. But how do they do that exactly? Well, they have this digital subscription model. They're like the Netflix for workouts. People can try it for free for about 14 days, and then they have to pay a subscription, which is $99 per year, which is definitely cheaper than a gym membership. They don't just have classes which are on demand, but they also have live classes with certified trainers. And if you get into this SPAC, you're actually getting a three-way deal, a three-way merger, because FRX is not just going to merge with BeachBody, but also with MYX Fitness. And MYX Fitness has this exercise bike, which is just like the Peloton bike, so that is like the hardware part of this deal. Plus, the BeachBody is working with influencers in the fitness industry, people like Shay Mitchell, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and of course LeBron James, and these people are there to drive subscriptions and drive revenue as well. The BeachBody definitely has that proven business model I'm looking for. They did $880 million in revenue last year. They have been a little bit flat in the last couple of years, but they hopefully are going to use the cash from the SPAC to boost their compound annual growth rate in the next coming years. The valuation video I did for FRX showed a midpoint valuation of about $27, and currently FRX is trading at $10 per share, which is of course the net asset value, so it could definitely be an interesting opportunity. SPAC number 4 is going to be IPOE merging with SoFi, of course. And with SoFi, you can do a lot. You can borrow money, you can open an account, you can buy and sell stocks, and you can also pay your bills. And all of these services are provided in just one app with a very member-centric approach. And SoFi is working around this model of a financial services productivity loop, or FSPL, which basically means that, well, if you start investing with SoFi, why not get a loan with SoFi? Why not get a credit card with SoFi? The thing is, the products simply work better when they are used together. And SoFi is going after an audience which they call HENWS, which might not be the best acronym or not the easiest acronym to remember, but it basically means high earners not well served. People from more than or over 22 years old earning 100,000 plus each year. And when we look at their adjusted net revenue, we can see that they definitely have this proven track record as well. They did $621 million in revenue in 2020, and they expect to scale that up all the way to $3.6 billion in 2025 at a compound annual growth rate of 43%, and they're going to have lots of cash to play with because of this SPAC merger, which is going to be around $2 billion in net cash. When I did the valuation for IPOE for SoFi, I came to a valuation of $35 for a midpoint valuation. Currently, the stock is trading at around $16.63, so it definitely could be an opportunity here as well. And then the last SPAC I'm going to talk about is TPGY merging with EVBox. This is like the European charge point. They are definitely the leader in charging stations in Europe. And when I go right outside my apartment here in the Netherlands, there's already one of these EVBox charging stations. If I walk for a minute, there's another one. If I walk for another minute, there's another one. So they definitely have a lot of these charging stations, especially here in the Netherlands. They provide AC and DC charging, and I'm definitely not talking about the band AC/DC here, I'm talking about slow and fast charging. And apart from that, they don't just provide the hardware, but also the software and services. Here in Europe, we definitely see that push for electric vehicles. There are a lot of incentives from the government. It's like, well, you get 12 grand, and you get 9 grand, and you get 5 grand, so everyone gets a lot of money. And many countries within Europe are looking to phase out ICE cars. And I'm not talking about ice cream cars, but I'm talking about internal combustion engine cars. So these are like the dirty cars that need to be removed and changed for an electric vehicle. And these electric vehicles, of course, need charging stations. So that's where EVBox comes in. In total, EVBox has about 190,000 charging stations. Most of these stations are in the Netherlands where I live, or in Germany, or in France, but they are expanding rapidly and they have already entered the US market as well. They don't have an insane amount of revenue just yet, but the EV boom is just getting started, of course. They did $70 million in revenue in 2020, and they expect to go to $372 million in revenue in 2023, which could give you a 74% compound annual growth rate. The midpoint valuation for TPGY for EVBox was, according to my video, about $38. Currently, we're sitting at $16.69, so again, here as well, it could be a beautiful opportunity. So that is my top 5, and for full disclosure, I do own shares of BFT, FRX, and TPGY. With regards to BFT, this is just a swing trade. I already took profits on about 50% of my swing trade, and I'm likely going to sell the rest of the position too. Because the thing is, usually SPACs tend to sell off after the merger, which I also did a video about. Now, I'd also like to hear from you, because what is your favorite SPAC at this very moment? Let me know in the comments. And with that being said, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. Have a beautiful weekend, and bye-bye.